Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. Nikon D7500. Yesterday I just put up the video for my 19 things that I like about it. The new stuff, the new features, the new tech that's in it that I like, that really hits it home for me, that I think Nikon's got a real winner here. Now, to counter that, I've got, how many do I have here? I've got 8 negatives or things that I think Nikon should have done differently or have left out. So that's 8 that I wish were, features that weren't the way they are. Things, again, that they left out or they should have done differently. Now, let me be clear. I'm very excited about the D7500. I think it is an amazing looking camera. I can't wait to get it in and play with it in the studio and see what it, how it performs, put it through its paces, and show you guys what it's capable of. However, as with any camera, there's always going to be something that I wish it did differently or I wish they'd done better in the design. These are the 8. I went through and picked them out for you. So, the first one is the rear screen. And again, these are in no particular order. But this is one of the more important or more heavily weighted negatives for me. I mentioned with my positives that I was happy that it's tilting, but it's a bittersweet happiness because Nikon could have very easily given us the beautiful vari-angle LCD off of the D7500, which is a much better setup for a movable LCD. To be able to flip it around in much different orientations is much better than the tilting LCD. So as much as I'm happy that we did not get a fixed LCD, and that's why I mentioned it in the positives, I am a little irked that we didn't get the better version of the LCD, the fully vari-angle LCD that we see on the D5500 or the D5600. Now, tied into that, another problem with the rear screen is that we've gone down in resolution. This isn't a big thing, but I don't know why we're taking steps backwards. The new one is 922K versus 1.2 million as far as dots in resolution, pixels. So you're essentially getting a lower resolution screen, and I'm not sure why they did that other than maybe to try and differentiate against the D500 and make people have a little bit more reason to buy the D500 instead of the D7500, protecting market share on the higher priced camera. It's the only thing I can think of, but that's point 2. So they're both tied in to the LCD screen. Now, the next one is a biggie for me, and that is the sensor. So this is my second point. So it uses the 21 megapixel sensor out of the D500. For some people, for many of you, that's going to be a big advantage. You're going to like that, because you're going to have the ability for better high ISO, and it's a very capable sensor. For me, I would have preferred they left that in the 500, and if that's what you wanted, you stepped up to the 500. I would have liked to see the tradition of the 7200 carry on, where we had a 24 megapixel top-end sensor. I think it's time for a 30 megapixel sensor, and that's what I would have liked to have seen in the D7500, a 35 megapixel DX APS-C sensor. We didn't get one. It's not a big thing for me. But again, I feel like it's a step back. It's probably not enough for me to consider not buying the 7500, but I do feel it's a step back. Some of you may feel it's a step forward, again, because you prefer the low light abilities it might bring. But I think we could have had a very nice, really nice performing 30 megapixel APS-C, a DX, as Nikon calls it, sensor in the 7500 with very good low light abilities, on par with what was in the 7200, and I would have preferred that. Okay, so that's point number 3. Point number 4, there's no focus peaking. We still haven't got focus peaking in video and in live view. Focus peaking I find to be so handy in all of my Micro Four Thirds cameras and any other cameras that do it, because it allows you to manual focus lenses very easily, because you can see on the screen what is in focus. You assign a color to it and the in focus areas become that color. Very nice feature. It's not in the 7500. Not sure why they didn't give us that. Don't see why they couldn't. I believe Pentax is already doing it in a DSLR, so I don't think it's a DSLR thing that it can't be done with the DSLR. It's just they didn't do it. Okay, number 5, single SD slot. Again, we're taking a step back here because the 7200 had 2 SD slots. So, we had twins SD slots. And I'm not sure, again, why we're stepping backwards. And the only thing I can think of is, again, to differentiate between the D500 DX flagship. They don't want to put all the bells and whistles in. But here again, we are taking away from what we already had in the 7200. And now we don't have twin slots in the 7500. It's a step back. And that's why I think they did it, to differentiate, protect the flagship, and to be able to still sell that. I wish they hadn't. Okay, number 6, slightly, oh no, that we already covered that. I have my numbers out of order. That's a lower resolution of the rear screen. So the next one, which actually be number 7, is the lower number of shots per battery charge. So we're getting less juice in the battery, less workable life out of the battery. It looks like it's about 950 versus 1100 in the 72. Again, not sure why. You would think with a newer battery, you should have more advanced tech and more capacity. I'm not exactly sure why this is the case, but it is a negative to get less battery life. And the last one, it's not a biggie, but again, it's a step backwards. There's no NFC feature on the 7500. The 7200 had this, so again, we're losing something that the previous model had. So all in all, again, I'm still very happy with what the 7500 offers. I do understand some of these step backwards, some of the things they've stripped out of the 7500 because they want to differentiate from the D500 and still sell that camera. But that's 8 things that I wish Nikon had done differently about the 7500, and they're my pet peeves. But what do you guys think? Are these 8 things that are my pet peeves the things that I wish they had done different with the 7500? Do they bother you? Are they things that you agree with me on? Do you disagree? If so, which ones? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Are these negatives for you? Do you think I'm just being picky? Are they just things that don't bother you? Let me know in the comments below. Let's discuss it. Let's continue to discuss this really incredible new offering from Nikon, the D7500. Looking forward to hearing your comments. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon here at artoftheimage.com.